Hi, my name is Dan Lovely, the Chief Learning Officer here at AIG, and I'm here with Judith Glaser. Judith is the CEO of Benchmark Communications, also the author of a book, Conversational Intelligence, which is the foundation of an exciting new program we're getting ready to launch soon here at AIG. But before that launch, we wanted to give you a bit of a preview of some of the material, some material that can help you with your performance review conversations that many of you are embarking on right now. So Judith, in your book you talk a lot about the brain. So how do conversations actually impact the brain?
It's really two ways. It's very simple. When we're having a threatening conversation, my brain closes down. I produce a neurotransmitter called cortisol, and that's when I'm threatened. But when our conversation is good and I feel that we are engaging safely, then I'm going to have a different kind of chemistry, and that's oxytocin. And oxytocin is a bonding hormone, and so it actually facilitates collaboration and innovation. So it's either one or the other.
And do I think differently when I'm being impacted by one transmitter versus the other?
Absolutely. When when cortisol is infusing my brain, I can't think strategically, I can't think innovatively, I think about protecting myself. But when we have a good conversation, my brain opens up and we're able to have ideas that we've never thought of before.
So that's why when I'm under stress, I find I kind of think as clearly.
That's right. You lose your voice.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I really feel like I'm connecting with someone, I get ideas I never thought I could have.
Exactly.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly. They're there just waiting to come out.
Right. So Judith, when you think about these levels of conversations, what's really the correlation between that and impact for the business?
Well, a business is a culture. It's people working together and connecting together. And if we can influence the quality of that connection, then we're able to produce extraordinary things in the workplace. So when you think about it, while we're shaping a culture, we're really focusing on shaping relationships, the quality of that relationship. And that happens through the quality of the conversation. So we move from culture to relationships to conversations. Everything happens through conversation.
So are you saying that we truly cannot transform a culture without spending time in these level 3 conversations?
I'm actually saying it's stronger, Dan, which is how we transform a culture is by transforming the quality of the conversation.
Your book talks a lot about the 3 levels of conversations. Can you describe those 3 levels for me?
Sure. There's level 1, which is transactional conversations. That's when we're asking and telling, it's factual, it's confirming what we know. Level 2 are positional conversations, where we're advocating a strong point of view, trying to influence the other person to appreciate what we're thinking. Then there's level 3, and that's the one that's different from the rest. That's where we are in transformational conversations. We're sharing and discovering things that we've never thought about before. We're being more transparent than we normally would be. That's the type of conversation that transforms an organization going through change.
You know, currently we're going through our mid-year performance review at AIG, and when I think of performance conversations that I've had, they're much more level 1 and level 2. Isn't that what those sort of conversations should be?
It's not should, Dan, really, because what we're looking for in a conversation that's a performance review is for how to get a person from where they are to someplace better, how to develop people, how to encourage their growth. And so if we're in positional conversations, we're actually trying to influence them in our point of view. But what we really want to be doing is opening people up so that they can start to discover what their next level of greatness is going to be. So level 3 is where we have a better match for activating the growth in an organization and the growth in individuals.
So you're saying the goal of a performance conversation really should be to try to get that level 3?
Absolutely. It's the vehicle through which we make change happen.
Great, Jude. So let's now take a look at a performance conversation here at AIG.
Great.
It appears to me that you are on track to meet this goal.
I agree. It's about 50% done.
Great. Keep it up.
Wow, you know, that really reminds me of a lot of performance conversations that I've been in. They're very shy as just 2 people exchanging information with each other, acknowledging it. Is that what a level 1 conversation it really is?
It is, Dan, what a level conversation can be, but that's not what are the conversations that we're really looking for people to have at AIG. We want a performance conversation that focuses on the future, that focuses on people engaging together and partnering. Level 1 isn't sufficient because you then reinforce whatever the behavior is that the person has at that time. We want to look at a different level of conversation.
Okay, well, maybe if we look at the clip now, let's see different levels of conversation.
It appears that you're on track in about 50%, but I'm worried about the quality of the book of business in your area.
What do you mean?
Well, the results of the last 3 months have raised some concerns about the overall long-term impact.
Why would you say that? I think my book is performing well over the long term, and we're developing some really great relationships.
Greg, you need to be more focused on the proper balance between growth and risk. And my advice to you is to be more risk cautious.
I'm not sure I agree.
From my point of view, you need to be much more thorough in the risks that you put in the books.
Greg,
I know that you've been spending a lot of time with your clients, and why don't you tell me about what you've been learning with regard to risk?
It's really fascinating. Did you know that many of our clients have improved their risk profile over the past year? We've been working with them to invest in risk management and advising them to update their maintenance and emergency response procedures in order to help them improve their risk quality.
Wow, that's great. What else are you seeing?
Well, I think we have a lot of really great opportunities here. While many of our accounts are doing better than we had hoped, I don't really think that we're fully utilizing AIG's capabilities. I think that we can do more to help them improve their losses.
What if we did some high-level analytics on some of your key accounts? That could give us the edge that our competitors don't have.
I totally agree. What if we took a look at...
Wow, that clip was fascinating. I actually think I saw examples of both level 2 and level 3. Is that right?
You did, exactly. And there was a big difference. When we started out in being in level 2, which is positional, you could see there was a push, there was an advocating a point of view. And what did you see Greg do?
Well, I think both Pat and Greg were sort of digging in their heels, really justifying their positions. They were sort of drifting apart from each other.
Exactly. They were looking to make them right and the other one wrong.
But then Pat, I don't know if it was frustration was, she just opened up, she relaxed, and then she started relating to Greg in a very different way.
A completely different way. She started to focus on him. She started to listen better. She started to draw out his point of view. And he started to feel that she really cared about his perspective. It makes a big difference in the level of trust that becomes part of their relationship moving forward.
Absolutely. I mean, I really felt that near the end they actually got to a place where neither was before, and they really had a common sense of trust building between them.
Yeah, strong bond,
Yeah.
strong oxytocin.
Yeah. At AIG, our performance conversations are no longer just focusing on the what, but they're also focusing on the how. So we're putting much more emphasis on looking and getting feedback regarding our behaviors. Let's look at a few examples of performance conversations focusing on behavioral feedback.
In regards to how you're achieving your goals, you need to do some more work around collaboration.
Sure, I'll work on that.
Okay.
So that looked like another example of a level 1 conversation, is that right?
Exactly right, Dan, it was. And as you know, level 1 isn't sufficient for getting good behavior and new behavior out of another person. So let's take a look at what it looks like with level 2 and level 3.
Okay.
In regards to how you're achieving your goals, you need to do some more work around collaboration.
I don't think so at all. I have a great relationship with my colleagues, and I collaborate all the time.
The feedback I got from your direct reports is that you are difficult to work with, you don't spend enough time working with them, and you don't offer direct opinions or advice.
That's just coming from unhappy members of my team. I'm sure that my peers would answer very, very differently if they were asked, like Alan's team. I know it.
Let's take a step back for a second. Greg, I remember my first multi-rater assessment, and it came as a big surprise. Ironically, I was perceived as being uncollaborative with other team members. It was a shock and a surprise to get that kind of feedback.
So you've had a similar experience.
I have, and it was mostly to do with the tone of my voice in emails and in meetings. I thought that I was being succinct and direct, and I was being perceived as being uncooperative, not listening, not being willing to engage in discussions and hear ideas.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like what I might be doing.
Okay. Well, I'm here to listen, I'm here to help, and I can coach you and give you feedback so that we can change those perceptions of you.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. I'd like that.
Wow, I think that was even a better example of a level 2 and a level 3 conversation. Is that true?
It really was, and one of the things that makes it different from all other conversations is when a leader becomes more vulnerable and transparent, they're actually modeling level 3 behaviors for the person, and it shifts the other person. It gives them permission to shift into a trusting, open, honest learning experience in that moment. Their whole chemistry is driven by the bonding instinct, the partnering instinct, and it takes over, and then good things start to happen as they talk to each other.
I mean, you could really see them forming a strong relationship. And I
Yeah.
mentioned what you said before about how conversations build relationships. You could see it clearly happening there.
And that's trust. We got to see trust happening in the moment.
Only because there was mutual disclosure.
Exactly.
So hopefully that will assist you in your performance conversations that you're currently having. It's really just an example of the kind of content we're going to have in our Conversational Intelligence program that we'll be launching later this year. Judith, I really would like to thank you for spending the time with us today, and I'm really looking forward to working with you for the rest of the program.
Me too, Dan. Thanks.
Great. You bet.